आप भी एक ऐसे व्यक्ति हैं जिन्होंने बुक पढ़ने की कोशिश की पर उन्हें लगा कि वो उसे नहीं पढ़ पा रहे हैं क्योंकि उनको बुक्स पढ़ना पसंद नहीं है, तो शायद आपने भी एक गलत बुक पिक करी है। So if you are a beginner and you are looking for book recommendation, then this video is for you. In this video, we are not going to talk about the books that you can go to, but we are going to talk about 10 books that you should stay away from. Why should you stay away from? What are these books? Are these books so bad that you should not go to them? No, it is not that. These books are wonderful books, but it is just not for the beginners. Maybe because of the language, maybe because of the story plot, maybe because of the complication of the writing that they use. So in this video, we are going to talk about each and every book and why you should stay away from them. But you should stay with us till the end of the video to know what are these books and when you can actually read them. And if you do not know me yet, I am Kanika and I am here on our channel Unboxing Perspectives, where we talk about books and we review them, we recommend them, and you will find all the bookish content on this channel. So if you have not yet subscribed to it, do click on the subscribe button as well as the bell icon so that you are notified with every new book that we are reading, with every new content that we are uploading, with every new recommendations that we are coming up with. And also, your subscription gives us an encouragement to make more content that is relevant to you and that you like. So it will be very nice of you if you comment down and you tell us what are your reviews for the video and the books that we are talking about. So without any further ado, let's start with the video. In today's video, we are going to talk about 10 such books which are really beautiful books, but they are not at all suggested for the beginners. And all these books, when I started reading and when I tried to read them for the first time, I felt them quite boring. But when I read them after a few years or after I had a habit of reading, then I found them entertaining. So that might be the difference why these books are not for beginners in my opinion. The first book being by Khalid Hosseini. Khalid Hosseini is a writer who writes fiction and novel based upon Afghan wars and life of people around Afghanistan. So the two books that are quite famous are Thousand Splendid Sun and Kite Runner. I will keep both these books in the books that the beginner should stay away from. Why it is so? First thing for the beginner is the plot. The plot is quite heavy, and as we proceed in this book, it gets heavier, and when you are a beginner, you are not prepared to let in so much of information and so much of tragedy that is around. This book is based upon the tragedy, the wars in Afghanistan and the people around it. So you will find a lot of stuff which is emotionally breaking, and you will also find the atrocities of war in this book. So that might be a turn off point for the readers, and they might put it down because they might think that books are not just their own stuff and they might not enjoy it. That is why I put these two books, that is the Kite Runner as well as Thousand Splendid Sun, in this category where the beginner should stay away from. Again, when we talk about Kite Runner, it is a story of two men, that is, one used to be the master and one used to be the slave, and what are their thoughts when they are around each other, what are the relationship that they share, and how they can redeem themselves, what are the struggles that they face in the life. So it is mostly, these two books are mostly about the struggles of people of Afghanistan after war, during war, before war, and every such thing is covered in this book. So these two books would be my first thing that you should stay away from if you are a beginner. Then moving on to the third book that we have in this series would be by Haruki Murakami. When we talk about Haruki Murakami, he writes in mystical fiction, that is, he combines the world of fiction with the real world. They come together and form a really new world. So again, I would say that it is the plot or the twist that is there in his writing that keeps the beginner away from reading. So if you are a beginner, अगर आपने अभी किताबें पढ़ना शुरू किया है तो आपको इस किताब को समझना थोड़ा मुश्किल हो सकता है. तो आप वहाँ पे इसमें कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे कि कौन सी कहानी चल रही है. यहाँ पे मल्टीपल प्लॉट्स चलते हैं और प्लस इसमें बहुत सारी चीजें मिंगल अप होकर चलती हैं. तो अगर हम बात करते हैं हारुकी मुराकामी की नॉर्वेजियन वुड्स, और उसके अलावा हमारे पास में आती है काफ्का ऑन द शोर, तो इस तरह की जो बुक्स हैं उसमें जब 2-3 लाइव्स एक साथ चलती हैं और वो मिंगल हो जाती हैं बाद में, तो आपको बहुत कंफ्यूजन हो जाएगा. एंड इफ यू आर अ रीडर, यू आर नॉट एबल टू ग्रास्प द कंटेंट, तो द thought behind this book. So that might be again a turn off for you to start reading. तो हारुकी मुराकामी से आप थोड़ा सा दूर रहें. अगर आप एक बिगनर हैं, आप उसे जरूर पढ़ें. It is wonderful book, and for all these three books, that is Thousand Splendid Sun, Kite Runner, as well as Haruki Murakami, I have given 5 stars for these books because I have enjoyed them thoroughly. And but still, I would recommend the beginners to stay away from them because they might not get it, and they might think that reading is actually boring, and they might turn around from the reading habit, right? And in case you still want to know more about these books, their story and how it unfolds, you can always find the links in the card above as well as the description box below. आप इसमें हमारे related videos के links, जो भी हम books के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, उनके links नीचे आपको मिल जाएंगे. आप उन्हें जरूर चेक करें और वहाँ पे आपको इन books की पूरी story मिलेगी. Plus, you will also find their review, their language review, their story review, and everything आपको उसमें मिल जाएगा. So these are 3 books that the beginner should stay away from. Then moving on to the 4th book we have is The God of Small Things. God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. Now again, this book is a Booker Prize winner. So there is no doubt that this is an amazing read. But this is a really slow read. Okay, when we start the book, it is like there are elongated stretches and there are elongated paragraphs that you might find boring. Second, the story includes a lot of plots. There it includes a lot of social issues. There are mentally disabled children. There is a broken up marriage. There is a widowed woman. There is an intercaste love story. There is a society which believes in backward people. There is an upper class society. There are some anti-social elements, and there are many elements in the story. So it is very difficult to hold on to them and to continue throughout the story. This book is a Booker Prize book, and again, this is a very wonderful book. And again, the thing is, the story is complicated, the language is complicated, the suspense is wonderful, and yet you are not able to continue with it. So it is a difficult book to go with, in spite of the fact that the story is very beautiful. In case you are a beginner, stay away from this book. You should read this book, but at least after 4 to 5 years when you are into reading. So this was our 4th book that you should stay away from. The 5th book would be The 1984. Again, a 5-star rating book by me, but this book is not for the beginners. What 1984 is about? 1984 is a dystopian novel where it talks about a society which can be there in case the government takes over. So it is an imaginary society, but it is really a depressing society. There is everything is black and white. There are no colors left in the life of people. They are so sad and they are completely in the clutches of the government, and how they are functioning, how they are sustaining in their lives is something which is covered in this book. But again, the thing is that you cannot continue with this book, especially in one sitting, or the beginners may not be able to finish it because the story is difficult. There are very difficult, there is a language which is difficult, and third, there is emotional turmoil when you go through this book. You will find the paragraphs quite elongated again and quite stretched out, and you will find the repetition of things quite a lot of time. So this might be a setback to you in case you start reading from 1984, and it is highly recommended book. But again, if you are a beginner, stay away from this book so as you can maintain your reading habit, right? Then moving on to the next book that we have in this series would be To Kill a Mockingbird. To Kill a Mockingbird is again a highly recommended book and a 5-star rating book. But the thing is, it is a classic literature. When we talk about classic literature, we include some of the literature which is difficult to go in. Do you remember the time when we were in school and your English teacher used to read out from the English classic literatures or the Charles Dickens book that were there in our libraries? So this is one of the classics like Pride and Prejudice and the other classics that are available with us. So this book might be quite difficult for a beginner to read. This book includes a wonderful story track again, but there are a lot of elements. There is social anxiety, there is black prejudice, there is a case going on, there is a social discrimination among people, mental disorder again. The main protagonist in this story is the lawyer, and so he faces various cases faces around him, and he is a person of values. And then the problem arises when he needs to stick to the values instead of swaying towards what is easy to do. So he is a person who does what is right instead of doing what is easy for him, right? So the plot thickens, and the thing goes on being difficult. You might lose a track about what is going on in the story, because the story might start from a small point and they go on being deeper and deeper into it. So beware before you pick up this book, because being a classic, this is quite a difficult book to go to. Then again, the same genre, that is the classic literature, we have Catcher in the Rye. You will find the same thing in the Catcher in the Rye as well. It is the story of the boy who has his own struggles when he is moving into adulthood, and it is specifically for young readers. But again, this is a classic book, so you might find it very difficult to go through the story, as well as to maintain your interest in the story, if in case you are a beginner. So these are the two classic books that you can avoid in case you are a beginner. Then moving on to another book, that is The Animal Farm by George Orwell. Animal Farm is a book which is completely contradictory to itself. It has an easy language, it has a short story, it is a very highly recommended book, and it is very quick read. It is such a small book which includes the story of animals and how they stand up against the injustice done to them. But again, it is not a book about animals, and it is not a book about the Panchtantra series that we used to read as kids. This is a different book, and it includes political satire, it includes the different atrocities of society, and it also includes the injustice faced by people. So it is to understand the essence of the book and what the writer want to write is what we read the books for, correct? So that is why I advise the beginners to stay away from Animal Farm, because of the fact that the lesson behind the story is beyond the reach when we read it for the first time and when we read it as a beginner. So that is why I would advise you to read it once you have read few books, or specifically once you have read 1984, you got it, you understood it, then you go for Animal Farm. That might be a better thing to go to. It is not a difficult book to read, the language is easy, the story is easy, but the context that the writer wants to convey to you is quite difficult. So I would advise the beginners to stay away from Animal Farm as well, and to enjoy this book once you become a reader and once you love reading books. So now we have already talked about the mystical fiction, and we have talked about the various fictional books, that is the classics, the mystical fictions and everything. But now, are all non-fiction book readable by the beginners? Can beginners go with all type of non-fiction book? Then it is, the answer is no. There is a book that is the autobiography of Yogi, which is quite famous nowadays, and it is ranked 5 on 5 stars, and it is a must-read recommendation. I would like to ask the beginners to stay away from this book, because first, this is quite a thick book. Second, the teachings are difficult to go with, and you need to grasp it point by point. So it is not a book which you can go at a time, complete book. You can go with the complete book at a time, but this is a book where you need to read paragraph by paragraph and slowly and steadily to consume it and to learn about what are the things going on in the life of the person. So that is the reason why I would not recommend you to start with this book. You should go with some other books which are light to read and which are simpler to carry on. Like you can go with Eat the Frog, or you can go with The Secret by Rohana Brain, or you can go with The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. And these are such books where you can go for light reading and for the first time reading, so that you know how to read these books and how to grasp the content that they are trying to provide. Because non-fiction is not as easy to read as that of fiction, and you cannot read them at a go. You need to go for small portions and you need to go for small paragraphs in it to complete the book, right? So that is what is there in this book, and that is the reason why I am advising the beginners to stay away from the autobiography of an yogi. Then the last book series that I would like to include in this particular video would be the Game of Thrones. The most popular series that you loved except the last season of course, but again this book includes a large amount of data which is not there in that series. It includes a large amount of information and the characters and the stories which are there. So in case you are a person who is still not into reading, then please do not go for these two fiction books, that is the Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. These two books which are into fantasy series is really difficult to read. They have a lot of world building, they have a lot of language issues, they will have a different language. You need to understand them thoroughly, and there are many books in it. So you might lose the interest when you read one or two books, and you might get bored and you might throw it away that I am not going to be a reader. So stay away from these two fantasy series because they are really difficult to go to in case you are a first time reader. But in case you are a first time reader and you want to go for fantasy series, you can go for some easier series like Harry Potter or Percy Jackson. These two series are quite simple to understand, the language is easy, and they are quite easy to connect to as well. So you might find them entertaining as well as beautiful to read too. So go with these two books, and once you are accompanied with fantasy series, that what they are, how they function, you can go for Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings as well. So these are also again very wonderful books, but if you are a beginner, stay away from this. So in this video, I think I would cover only these much books for the beginners to stay away from. And it is not that the books are bad, the books are 5-star rating each and every one of them. But again, I would like to suggest the beginners to stay away from them because of the facts I mentioned in this video. And for all the books that we have reviewed, you will find the links in the card button above. Card is the I button above and the description box below, and you can find the review of those books there. And beginners, please don't be disheartened. Then what should we read if we have to keep away from these many books? Then I have already given you the videos which for the specific category of books that you can go to. In case you want biographies, you will have biographies. In case you want suspense thrillers, you have the suspense thriller. In case you want love stories, you have the love stories where the beginners can go and read. So check out those videos again in the description and the button above to know which books are meant for you and which books the beginners can go to increase their love for reading and to understand that reading is their hobby as well. It is not just a hobby of you, it should be the hobby of each and everyone around us, right? We are here to promote the love for reading, so you will always find the recommendations for beginners on this channel. I would also love to know your doubts regarding some specific books, in case you think whether you should go and buy for that book or not, or in case someone recommended you the book but you do not feel good after reading it, or you could not complete it. Please drop them down in the comment section in case you have the books which are still in your TBR and you have not completed it. You started it but not completed it. I would love to know about them to discuss with you whether you should switch or you should continue with that book. In case you are not connected with us on our social media websites, you can connect with us on Telegram, Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere you can think of, Twitter, blogs, and everywhere that you can think of, okay? And I am giving you the links of all the social media handles in the description box below. You will find the link of every single social media handle on the description box below. So please go and check them out. We put up our hard work in writing down the description and providing you the links of everything as well as about the video. So do check the description box and tell us whether you actually like those things or not. Okay, I will see you soon in the next video. Till then, happy reading.